In the dusty streets of Addis Ababa, tension hung thick in the air as whispers of espionage and betrayal spread like wildfire through the city. It was 1982, and Ethiopia was in the midst of political turmoil, with the communist government cracking down on dissent and foreign influence. Charges of CIA connections, scientific dirty tricks, slander campaigns and government cover-ups cloud the circumstances surrounding the discovery in Ethiopia of the Lucy bones and other important fossil clues to man's origin. The annals of paleoanthropology are filled with groundbreaking discoveries, fierce rivalries, and the relentless pursuit of answers to humanity's origins. Few stories encapsulate this complex interplay of science and politics like the bone wars that unfolded in Ethiopia during the late 20th century. Against the backdrop of political upheaval, allegations of espionage and heated scientific disputes, the discovery and interpretation of ancient human fossils such as Lucy and Bodo Man became a stage for both groundbreaking revelations and intense controversy. The 1970s and 1980s were a time of immense political conflict in Ethiopia. Following the overthrow of Emperor Haile Selassie in 1974, the nation descended into a period of Marxist rule, marked by suspicions of foreign influence. Amid this volatile environment, Ethiopia's Afar Triangle emerged as one of the most critical regions for paleoanthropological research. It was here, in the ancient sediments of the Middle Awash Valley, that some of the most significant fossil discoveries were made, offering clues about the origins and evolution of early humankind. In 1974, Donald Johanson and his team uncovered Lucy, a 3.2-million-year-old Australopithecus afarensis skeleton. Just a few years later, Jon Kalb and his team unearthed the partial skull of Bodo Man, a specimen of Homo erectus, or possibly an early form of Homo heidelbergensis, estimated to be 600,000 years old. These finds cemented Ethiopia's status as a cradle of human evolution. However, Kalb's disputes with Donald Johanson further exemplified the competitive nature of paleoanthropology. Kalb accused Johanson of concealing the significance of an early hominid discovery to later announce it independently. These tensions reflected broader challenges within the scientific community, where collaboration was often undermined by personal and institutional rivalries. The importance of these discoveries was overshadowed by allegations of misconduct, rivalry, and political intrigue. Jon Kalb, a geologist who had worked in Ethiopia since 1971, claimed that his work and reputation were undermined by rumors that he was a CIA spy. According to Kalb, these allegations were fueled by rival scientists who sought to discredit him and gain exclusive access to Ethiopia's fossil-rich regions. The Ethiopian government, already wary of foreign interference, expelled Kalb in 1978, effectively ending his research in the country. According to Kalb, the reason he was kicked out of Ethiopia was that other scientists began circulating rumors that he was a CIA spy. He traces the rumors to rival scientists, to questions about the source of his research funds, and as the significance of the fossil site exploded to his insistence that Ethiopia and Ethiopian graduate students get a bigger share of research dollars and opportunities. "I was on everybody's hit list," he said. Kalb was expelled from Ethiopia in early August 1978 due to the CIA rumors. John and his two young daughters, his wife Judy was in England at the time, were fortunate to have survived. This observation is not hyperbole. Ethiopia experienced great political turmoil in the 1970s, and the Red Terror that reigned during those years was responsible for imprisoning and executing suspects without due process. Planting rumors that someone was a CIA spy could have resulted in death, and John and his daughters were extremely fortunate to escape Ethiopia unharmed. They say that history is written by the winners. If that's the case, we may have missed out on some good books. Jon Kalb's engrossing account of discovery and disappointment in Ethiopia's Afar region may be one of the best first-hand accounts of human fossil discoveries ever written. In 1971, as a restless graduate student in geology, Kalb decided to relocate his family to Ethiopia and organize his own expedition into the last unexplored segment of the East African Rift System, inspired by the fossil-finding successes of well-funded French, American and Kenyan groups working near the northern tip of Lake Turkana. This includes the Omo Valley of southern Ethiopia, where Richard Leakey discovered the Omo Kibish remains in 1967. Conveniently, also in 1982, the British Museum released a new reconstruction of what they called the earliest modern human, based on a skull discovered in Ethiopia in 1967. The Omo-1 skull became the most important piece of evidence for a new theory, which they called the Garden of Eden hypothesis. This theory, later renamed the Out of Africa theory, speculated that modern humans originated in an ancient Garden of Eden, located in Ethiopia. Unfortunately, once the hominid remains began to turn up, Kalb was the first, but not the only loser, in the horrifying academic brawl that ensued, even as Ethiopia erupted in waves of murderous revolution. Kalb's struggle to stay in the game runs throughout this vivid story of fieldwork, paleoanthropological politics, and on-the-spot war reporting. 3 proposals for archaeological work in the Middle Awash were submitted to the National Science Foundation in 1977 by Kalb's eminently qualified associates at Southern Methodist University, New York University, and Harvard, but all 3 were rejected. The following year, Kalb was expelled from Ethiopia with 6 days' notice. Kalb's most bitter memory is the description of how the Middle Awash area was then taken over by archaeologists from the University of California, Berkeley, who had previously obtained an overlapping permit. Meanwhile, a multinational expedition anxious to search for more ancestral fossils was turned back by the Ethiopian government under a ban on digging that lasted several years. Charges of a scandal were confirmed, and it would hamper future scientific work there and in other politically sensitive areas of the world. It is in Ethiopia's northeast Harar province in the Bodo area, hence Bodo Man, inhabited by Afar tribesmen who follow a precarious existence, alternately battered by raging winds, torrential rains, and appallingly high temperatures. In this story, we're backstage at some of the most famous scenes in human paleontology, a long-running saga of triumphs and jealousies. In 1971, 50 years had passed since Raymond Dart amazed the world with the Taung skull. The discovery of the Taung skull in southern Africa gave anthropologists a new human ancestor to fight over. In the 1970s, discoveries and hard feelings were at an all-time high in South African caves and East African rift valleys, particularly Kenya's Turkana Basin. Initially, Kalb had the infernal landscape of Ethiopia's Afar depression to themselves. It was a jagged wasteland of oven-like heat, frantic mosquitoes, and dangerous rivers, with a local population known for annihilating exploration parties. Kalb's description of how he learned to navigate this terrible place and how they began to find fossil beds wherever they looked is so vivid and compelling that one almost wishes to have joined them there. When Louis Leakey and his wife Mary met Kalb at a prehistory congress in Addis Ababa in December 1971, Mary Leakey emphasized the importance of Kalb's refusal to trust anyone when it came to hominid fossils. As it turned out, she could not have been more foresighted. From that point forward, the action in Kalb's story accelerates inexorably, as everyone realizes that the Afar is the largest, most fossiliferous, and certainly the most newsworthy of all the fabled locations in human evolution. The Afar Depression, however inaccessible a hellhole, appeared to be the last place on Earth with geological potential for a paleoanthropological bonanza. There are various accounts of what happened, but the central facts are the same in all of them. In late 1972, Kalb signed an agreement to collaborate with their French and American partners, and the Ethiopian government's Antiquities Administration granted them a joint permit to study the geology and paleontology of nearly 13,000 square miles of the Afar River Valley. Johansen discovered hominid remains, Australopithecine leg bones, while exploring Hadar, in the concession's northern region, in October 1973. Nevertheless, Kalb was forced to leave after only 11 months. Kalb claims that the director of the Antiquities Administration stated that a rumor about his connection to the CIA had been brought to their attention by Johansen. Within months, his former partners announced the discoveries of Lucy and the 2.3-million-year-old first family, a cache of 214 fossil bones and teeth of early hominids of both sexes and various ages discovered in a single location. Meanwhile, Kalb was able to keep a portion of the original concession in the Middle Awash Valley, which had previously been unexplored. He formed another team, and in May 1975 they discovered a massive cache of Acheulean handaxes and cleavers, the artifacts so dense in places that they could be seen from an airplane at 2,000 feet. The 600,000-year-old Bodo cranium was discovered in this same location in October 1976. Bodo Man isn't much to look at, just a lump of fossilized human skull, low-browed with two gaping dark holes as eye sockets. But he is about 500,000 to 750,000 years old. Bodo Man made his camp next to the water's edge and killed animals in the water such as hippos and those that went down to the water's edge like antelope, and he made his tools from nearby volcanic rock. As Kalb was inspecting only a few yards from the base camp, his assistant turned round to spot the lower section of Bodo Man's skull lying on the ground partly hidden by some grass. He bent down, picked up the skull section, and they were jumping up and down and shouting that they had found a hominin, modern man's immediate ancestor. An upper portion of the skull was later found nearby. A further search uncovered 75 other associated fragments of Bodo Man's skull, which were glued piece by piece to the rest at Ethiopia's National Museum at Addis Ababa. Future visits to the fossil site will disclose other fragments that will eventually result in the reconstruction of 53% of the skull. One of the most intriguing aspects of Bodo Man is the evidence of cut marks on the skull, likely made with stone tools shortly after death. These marks suggest the deliberate defleshing of the body, raising questions about the social or ritual behaviors of early humans. While some researchers have speculated about cannibalism or mortuary practices, the exact reasons for these modifications remain unknown. Remarkably, the Herto skulls found in the same region, but dated to only 157,000 years ago, also show the same mortuary practices, suggesting a very ancient tradition. Despite the controversies, the discovery of Bodo Man remains a landmark in the study of human evolution. Found in Ethiopia's Hara province, the skull exhibits a mix of primitive and advanced traits. The robust supraorbital torus, brow ridge, sagittal keel, and broad zygomatic arches suggest affinities with Asian Homo erectus specimens from Java. In fact, the large cranial capacity and advanced tool use associated with Bodo Man indicate a transitional form between Homo erectus and later species, such as Homo heidelbergensis. While Bodo Man represents a pivotal moment in the evolution of early Homo sapiens, the earlier discovery of Lucy brought global attention to Australopithecus afarensis. Lucy's relatively complete skeleton provided invaluable insights into the anatomy and locomotion of early hominins. Standing just over a meter tall, Lucy exhibited a combination of human-like and ape-like traits, including bipedalism and a small brain case. The significance of Lucy and other Australopithecus fossils lies with their place within the evolutionary tree. As a potential ancestor to the Homo lineage, these fossils bridge the gap between earlier hominins and modern humans, demonstrating the gradual development of traits such as upright walking and tool use. In summary, the Ethiopian government's expulsion of Kalb and its subsequent restriction of foreign researchers highlight the complex relationship between science and politics. In the context of Ethiopia's Marxist regime, foreign scientists were often viewed with suspicion, particularly those with ties to Western institutions. Allegations of CIA involvement in scientific missions only heightened tensions, as did the perception that Ethiopian researchers were being sidelined in favor of their Western counterparts. The discoveries of Lucy, Bodo Man, and other fossils in Ethiopia have fundamentally reshaped our understanding of human evolution. They have hinted at Africa's role as the birthplace of humanity and provided critical evidence for the out-of-Africa theory, which posits that modern humans originated on the continent before migrating to other parts of the world. However, the controversies that accompanied these discoveries also reveal the human side of science. The pursuit of knowledge is often fraught with competition, ego, and ethical dilemmas. By reflecting on these challenges, the scientific community can strive to foster a more collaborative and inclusive approach to research. The Bone Wars of Ethiopia offer a compelling narrative of discovery and discord, set against the backdrop of a nation grappling with political turmoil. While the fossils unearthed during this period have illuminated the deep history of humanity, the rivalries and allegations surrounding their discovery remind us that science is not conducted in a vacuum. It is shaped by the social, political, and personal forces of its time. As researchers continue to explore the mysteries of human evolution, the lessons of Ethiopia's bone wars will remain relevant. reminding us of the need for integrity, collaboration, and respect in